pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pray with me, please. Lord, we're thankful for the many blessings that you've given us in this life. We're thankful for this community that we live in and this school that we get to serve. We're praying that you be with each board member and administrators. Give us wisdom as we make decisions. May we always act in the best interest of the students and the faculty. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
We'll call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. I have to note that there is a quorum present. One member running late. The agenda was posted in a timely fashion. This is a legal meeting. Next item is conduct public hearing regarding District of Innovation Plan.
All right, let me pass these down. This is a proposed plan for DOI. We've talked about this at a previous meeting. Since then, we have had our DEIC committee meeting. They recommended that we look at renewing the DOI plan, so a renewal would be for 5 years. The exceptions to, or the innovations that we're looking at would be for first day of instruction, for some teacher certification. We've added that we can have experienced teachers, or actually this was previously in there, on probationary contracts. We had a class size waiver, teacher contract days, transfer students, innovation strategy, and then the minimum minutes of instruction. All of these strategies have been in our current plan. The one addition that has been recommended that we're going to look at is on page 4, and it is bolded. But the district will maintain the current expectations for traditional employee certification, but in the event we're unable to find certified employees, we did this with CTE, we would have a recommendation from the principals to the superintendent and into the school board to place an individual into that classroom that may not meet all of those certification areas. We had this in our career technology. The committee's recommended that we add this to our high demand areas, which would be in foreign languages, math science, our language arts, and then social studies. Maud ISD will try all means to exhaust all means to hire certified teachers before we use this exception. What we give this public opportunity is for any input or public comment. This is not to be approved today. What we will ask later in the meeting is that we approve our intent to renew. The plan is then posted for 30 days, and then at our next meeting we have a recommendation for the school board to approve this committee plan. But this is an opportunity for our public or for any other discussion on that proposed plan.
I have one thought.
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming somebody helped with the verbiage here, but when it says Maud ISD will exhaust all means to hire a certified teacher first, does that give us flexibility if there is a certified applicant that is very unqualified otherwise? We could,
Yes.
with logic, go
Yes,
the other direction.
absolutely.
That all means
Just by all means, that we're going to post it, advertise it, go through background checks. But absolutely, if we were to have somebody that was fully certified, we're going to hire the one that's best for the classroom, for the best in that situation. And there's certainly scenarios where that may take place. But it is that we're going to do all that we can to put the most qualified person in there, fully certified. And then if not, if we're unable to, and the best choice is someone that's not, then that would be the recommendation.
I just didn't want that verbiage to all ties.
Yes, sir. We have no questions or discussion from the public. So that is all that we needed for today, unless anyone else has a question.
Hearing none, we'll move along. Next item is administer oath of office to the Maud ISD Police Chief.
All right. We're very fortunate tonight. We have Mr. Joe Rochelle, who is our new Chief of Police. He has started with us approximately a month ago. We have got all the L1s and the T-Code paperwork worked out, so he is now fully qualified to be our Chief of Police, and he has done a great job. I tell you, the first day he was here, he walked around and shook, I think, every employees and teachers had, and it was good training for some teachers because they didn't recognize him and they had to ask him, "Why are you here?" And so we could see that we did, at least when someone's on our campus, know that we're supposed to approach them. So, Mr. Rochelle, we're sure happy to have you here.
Happy to be here, sir.
And at this time, Ms. Holly, if you would, please come forward, if y'all would step on up here, and we will get you sworn into the office.
I'm not going to record, I'm just taking a picture for the social media. Why did you get cut?
Raise your right hand, sir, and if you would, repeat after me. I state your name,
Joe Rochelle,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties
the duties
of the office of
Maud
ISD Police Chief
Maud ISD Police Chief
of the state of
of the
Texas,
state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States,
of the United States,
of this state,
of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate
Glad you're with us.
it. Glad to be here.
Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
There's no one.
Okay. Next item is communications.
Oh, there is none, I apologize.
That's your job.
That was my job. I'm sorry, my one job tonight, I apologize.
Next item is the consent agenda. We have the minutes of the February 10 facility workshop, minutes of the February 24th regular meeting, and the monthly financial report. Anyone have any items they will pull for discussion? All right, do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion.
A motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Next item is information items. Principal Report, Athletic Report.
And before we get going, Mr. Rochelle, y'all are more than welcome to stay and listen, or y'all are more than welcome to go on home.
It's probably only going to be about 4 more hours.
Yes, yes, thank you.
We appreciate
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Glad nice to meet you.
Help me.
Yes, sir.
I think he's out of line. I know where parents are.
All right, Ms. Cox, if you would, please.
Then let family.
That's sweet. You know, he's my new BFF. All the kids have to walk around and introduce him as my new BFF, and they all say, "Hi, Officer Rochelle." It's great. So our attendance is down. I know y'all saw that. The flu has hit us. It's hit my family. It's hit everybody. So our attendance is down. Flu has hit. Hopefully when the spring hits with all the warm weather, maybe we can get back to things. We did have a great book fair. We got to thousands of dollars worth of books added to our library and then to her fund for more things that she can create. We had over 200 signatures. That's not including grandparents and everyone else who were there at the open house, but all of the parent signatures that visited the classrooms, there were 200 or over 200. So we had a huge turnout for open house. I think everyone's glad to be back and seeing how things are going. We had some bee charmers. Our pre-K are doing each week. They do different things. They got to go to Thief Neck Farms and do some bees. And then our GT, this is our very first year to do Destination Imagination. I'd previously done it in a different district. And Amanda was saying, hey, we need to get a program together. And so we had someone come out to show Ms. Fothergill and Braden Brown, and he's really taken it and ran with it. And out of 9 teams, their very first competition, they got second place. And if they would have received first, they would have got to go to state. So that's their goal for next time. They could not believe that our kids had never been anywhere and done anything like that. And so Destination Imagination, they have instant challenges. They have 2 minutes to create these things to earn points. And then they either practice a show or things that they have to do that's inside the GT classroom. And there was improv. And so they got a challenge when they got there and had to improv how the solution was happening. So it's very things on your feet, but very creative and imaginative, and that's the whole role of that. Coming up on your agenda is going to be the benchmarks, and so we've been looking at those and going over those, so I can come back later and
We've got an item, you can come back.
talk about that. Coming up, we have class pictures. Our teachers are gonna get trained in the STAR, and then 5th grade's going to Region 8, where the zoo is coming to us, the Dallas Zoo. And so our kids are traveling to Region 8 to hands-on for their life science part of their science sticks. So that's it. Any questions or concerns?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Wyndham?
Okay, our attendance, going off of Ms. Fauci's deal, has really started getting hit this week. We've been doing fine up until this past week or so. Apparently the flu is starting to kind of go around like she said. I even got a couple staff members that are starting to experience some of that as well. We actually are up a little bit from last month to this month, but we're noticing a little bit of a small tick going down right now during this past week. We had our powerlifters get sent off to the state competition. We actually had them walk through the elementary hallways, the high school hallways, so that they can kind of see the kids a little more. Then, of course, then they got the fire truck exit like normal that Tuesday morning when they left. Cheerleaders tried out this past weekend. We had several of the girls that tried out do a really good job. The scores were really close, so we decided that we were going to take all the ones that tried out because they were so good. In saying that, we had a couple seniors, Jaden Sanders, Jordan Crowell, Caitlin Newton, Alana Colazzo, juniors, Brooklyn Henderson, Mackenzie Smallwood, Bayla White. The new one there would be Kylie Martin. Then we had sophomore Hannah Rainey, who's a returner, and then we got 2 freshmen this year, which would be Brooklyn Osborne and Kennedy Collins. And then we have a new mascot, which is going to be Lillian Birthright. The junior high cheerleaders are Abby Braley, Chevelle Mathis, Reagan Harris, Bailey Branham, which will be the new one for junior high, and Cadence Inslee is going to be there again. And then our 6th graders that are moving up to 7th grade next year would be Mason Sanders, Brooke Allison, and Audrey Hillis. Also, this past month, we had our junior high band that competed in solo ensemble deal. We held it actually here in Maud. We talked about that, I think, last board meeting. Several of our kids were able to receive awards, and as far as I know, that's the first time we've ever held one here, so we were pretty fired up about it. Mr. Fenton did a great job with it, and the best part is, no one even knew that they were there. So when they were done, everything was spotless when we got back, so they did a really awesome job. Very proud. The juniors just took their ACT on March the 5th, and then our Stuco kids won the Sweepstakes Council for one of the most outstanding student councils around, which I believe is the 2nd year in a row that we've done that. So we're pretty fired up with our Stuco kids right now. Ms. Litchfield has done the NHS cleanup day on Highway 67 this past weekend. I don't know if y'all had a chance to see it. It was extremely cold out there, and they still went out and did it. So we were very proud of them. Our Stuco also participated in an Arbor Day in Texarkana. The greatest compliment Ms. Harrell said that she's gotten was one that when everybody said that they knew where the mod kids were, because those were the kids who were actually working and doing what they were supposed to be doing. So it was really nice to see. You can see there was a ton of photos of kids there, but our kids were the ones that they were complimenting the most for the outstanding work that they were doing. We had the rabies clinic this past week as well. Mr. Barron put it on. We had a little over 80 animals that were vaccinated. Normally you pay about $50 to get those animals vaccinated. It costs most of them about $10, $15 to get it. Basically, we saved the mod community somewhere around $3 grand, $2 grand, somewhere in that range. Couldn't give you the exact number yet, but it was somewhere in that to help out as much as possible. Things that are coming up, we got spring pictures on March the 22nd. They've sent out forms for the athlete kids that are going to take them, and the proofs will be given to the kids so that they can order from when that comes out. Student immunizations coming up on the 30th, and the yearbook purchases will end on April the 15th. We've been blasting that out as much as possible to let the parents know. Students of the month for 6th grade, Harris Hawkins, 7th grade, Abby Braley, 8th grade, Sam Sanders, 9th grade, Gavin Robinson, 10th grade, Brooklyn Henderson, 11th grade, Shane McCamey, and 12th grade, Michael Shields. Faculty member of the month, and I'm going to talk about her a little bit right here, is Miss Mandy Brower. And I'm talking about her because what we didn't get to put on there was one-act play, and normally because she wins district or she advances, their slot this year was the first one, and usually the first one is where they're the most critical. One of the judges gave her 2nd place couple of the other judges kind of hammered her. Again, she was one of the first ones to go, and we felt like that was kind of one of the deals. But there were several other people that said how amazing of a job that the kids did and what she did with the kids in the 1-act play. So we're very proud of her and all the work she's put in, plus not to mention that she is doing an unbelievable job with her intervention kids right now. So anyway, anything else anybody wants to ask or pull back and look at?
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
I got Coach Turner here for the athletic director report. He is at the track meet this evening. Everybody got track meet kind of weather. You can see the awards came out for boys basketball. They're on number 1. We had girls powerlifting. We just got back today. Brooklyn Henderson placed 7th at the state meet. She did a great job. Landon Cottle has qualified for the state meet, which will be on March 25th. You can see the track schedule. We got baseball and girls softball that are starting into district. Maud tennis, team of 1, Lando winner. Our foreign exchange student has been doing extremely well. 1 to 2 meets he's been at. And then he's got a note down there just on off-season, how things are going for mid-year, both boys and girls, and our junior high.
All right. Next item on the agenda is discussion of the benchmark results for elementary and junior high.
So Ms. Fouch is already up and moving forward. She's ready to go. We'll let her start it off then. We have done our benchmarks for our core classes, both at our elementary and then our junior high. I know that we're testing some of the science and social studies next week at junior high. But we want to go ahead and report out kind of where we are at this time. Go ahead, Ms. Fouch.
So we are super excited about this go around in March. We got a lot of work to do, but looking at our scores right now, I would take them right now if that's what they hated us. 90% passing, and we don't even look at, if you look at the approach, scoot on over to the meets, because that's really where we kind of focus at. So 41, almost half the class in math, half the class in reading, and we're, 4th grade, guys. Come on, we know that's the grade that always kind of hits us the hardest over there. Talking with Mrs. Bullock, especially in math, it's the applied math that they're asked to do, 3-4 step problems at that age, and sometimes with the maturity level of some of those kids, like when I'm explaining things to my daughter who's in 4th grade, sometimes it's just way over their head. You've seen the homework that they come home with, and it's extremely hard. I think that's why when they get to 5th grade, that maturity level kind of pops up a little bit, and they understand, oh, well, this is really what it's talking about. So, but she's working hard, and then 5th grade, she's over half of meets, reading more than half the meets, and then the science. Susie, who's in from Region 8, just cannot believe how well we do in science. So those are our scores.
Any questions or other discussions for Ms. Fouch?
How does this meet up with normal?
We'll be way past this in May. Usually, we're around here. We've scored a little bit higher in 3rd grade than we've had in the past. But now there are some kids that didn't get tested because they were that weren't there. But I mean, I'd expect the exact same scores are higher for 3rd. The masters, it should move over a little bit more. So like y'all see my colored page that I give you all the kids and how it happens. So where the red's going to the yellow is going to be moving down to the green. So that's our goal with interventions and win time, is to take them from where they are to move them where they need to be the next time. So the growth piece for the most part.
I think just overall talking Ms. Fouch,
Yeah.
we're happy where we are at this point. Certainly concentrating on those meets categories, and that's an area that we'll start working with those kids and start moving them into from approaches into meets, and then of course our other bubbles.
Yes.
But overall, we feel good at where we are.
Yes.
Elementary now tests later in the year.
We do.
Than what we have been. So in the past we would have had these back in usually January, but because they pushed those tests back into May, we went ahead and waited a little truer.
And can I preface this is the last year of paper test. Next year is online. And I have seen my daughter typing online, and it is very difficult. So we're working towards that, but I'm just prefacing this year is going to be the best year ever. The next year it's online.
It's
So
going
we'll
to
see.
be great.
Yes, it's going to be different. I mean,
It
We're not
is.
the only one doing it though, right?
No, the state is mandating all go online, so that is coming. The test will change. because of that, and some of the ways that we teach are going to have to change, and that's some of the instructional changes we're going to
Yes.
see at the elementary, particularly for those kids. The typing is going to be a much bigger issue. We're going to see writing, not as a standalone test, but it's going to be embedded throughout all the reading tests as well. So certainly something that we're aware of and that we're going to have to work with those kids. So we don't know what that impact will be, but we certainly
Well, it's
know
just like I like to be that very upfront with Mr. Bradshaw. If I know something's coming down the pipe, I'm gonna be very upfront with y'all. I'll let y'all know next year.
Thank you, Ms. Phelps. We're doing it, yeah, we're doing typing in Mr. Brown's
Yes.
classroom.
Should be no problem.
We're getting there.
No problem, we gotta wait, we got a year to figure it
A
out.
whole year.
But they'll start typing for sure, we're gonna start now in second grade,
Yes.
doing a lot more typing. Kindergartners, they go in and do the
First
little
grade
program. First is when they really start typing. Second, now we're gonna have third graders having to be able to keyboard type and answer. Mr. Murat, the commissioner, feels that'll have no impact whatsoever on test scores. I'm not sure that the education and educators of the state agree with him, but he has assured us it'll have no impact.
I was eating crayons in kindergarten, now they're gonna be typing.
If you see some of the algebraic things that we're having to teach in second, first grade,
Absolutely.
kindergarten now.
Taking naps.
I was eating homemade Play-Doh.
All right, moving on. Right, Terry, moving on. Mr. Wyndham.
All right, so I gave you guys a sheet there that should have some red on it to kind of signify where we're at, but I wanted to kind of go back to something Mr. Bradshaw said. We do have our other benchmarks, the science and social studies coming up on the 23rd and the 25th of this next week. So I don't have those yet, but I will. We have been doing a lot of computer-based type testing right now, just to start preparing our kids now. Now, they're not doing the written part that he was talking about, the embedded part there, but we are trying to get them used to a lot of the accommodations, the different ways you have to answer things, stuff like that. So we've already kind of started on some of that, just trying to get prepared for it. Now, at the same time, we're still using our tests very similar to the way we were going to have to take it this year, just to be prepared for it as well. We're kind of flip-flopping and doing both with our kids. Some of the things that I want to kind of go over real quick is that what I did was I put on the mod benchmark of this year there on that first column to kind of see where our scores are right now. We took these in around Christmas. Some of these subjects that were taught just at one time. We've now started kind of spiraling back in and reteaching some of those things, so some of those numbers will come up, but you will see that for the most part, a lot of those numbers are still higher than where we were when we ended last year.
What are we looking at?
Sorry, just all of it in general, just right now. So if you'll look at the ELAR, the English one on the first piece there, it should have the 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. I even have English 1 and English 2 for the high school listed there. The main areas that I've seen that we need to work on, I did highlight with red, because that's going to be our target emphasis since Christmas has left. It's things that we've been going back, like I said, spiraling and checking on. One of the things that you'll look at there is that 6th grade ELAR. Last year's 6th graders, which would be this year's 7th grade class, they had a 2% master's piece. The 7th grade ELAR, which is them, those same kids this year, are now at 9%. So most of their numbers have come up. If you'll look at it in kind of a diagonal pattern almost from where they took it last year to where they're taking it now this year. So our numbers have came up. We are increasing for the most part, but there's still a few areas that I want to really attack and get higher. I'm trying to look to get us somewhere kind of like Ms. Fouts in that 20% range. I mean, I'm really trying to get there. And that, it's one of those deals that they're good, but they're not good enough for me. Maybe it's part of that old ball coach in me, I guess, or something like that, because there's always a way to improve and get a little better. So we're trying to attack those things right now. One of our main concerns, one of the ones I saw that dropped was last year's 7th graders, this year's 8th graders. So I kind of went and started looking at what's going on there. Me and Ms. Duren, especially Ms. Duren right now, I've got her really going in there, helping redesign some of the lessons, things like that. That was also a teacher that we lost around Christmas time, that we've got a new teacher in there, and she's doing a jam-up job right now, and Ms. Duren is right there with her. We're walking through every bit of that over and over again to make sure those numbers increase. And they're doing a pretty good job right now. So the checkpoints have started climbing, so I really expect it to start looking really good the next time we take another benchmark style test with that group. Now, if you look over to the math section that are there, our math scores, you'll also notice that those are doing pretty much the same thing. Most of them are increasing. The only one that was a concern to me was the 8th grade math. We gave that back to Mr. Willis from when he had it a few years ago. You'll notice there again, some of that percentage from when they tested as a 7th grader to now as an 8th grader has dropped considerably on the master side of it. I've talked to him about that. We're working on trying to get some of that. The biggest piece for him is he's trying to hit concepts right now, and he's kind of been dealing with, like everybody, the COVID and everything. So he's really trying to go back, spiral and redirect, go over some of this. When those kids took that test, it was their first time to see a lot of it. So him going back. Now, the other side of that is, if you look at the algebra scores, last year's benchmark, I went and pulled it up. It's not on the paper there. But last year's benchmark with his Algebra 1 scores was about 36%. So looking at that, and then you can look at where they tested in 2021, and you can see where they ended up. So he did start low in the benchmark last year, just like he did this year, but his scores dramatically increased at the end of the year. So there was a couple things that we did there. We're going to try to do it again. We did like a boot camp where we did the teaching of the testing strategies, things like that. We're going to try to see if we can get that back and do some things like that. And when I say that, Ms. Duran was a part of that with me. And it basically was just teaching them how to read the math problem. Coach Willis is real big on the graphs, the algebraic, the linear equation, the mathematical part of it. And so we're going back and we're redoing some of the how to read the math question right now. So I think we'll see the big jumps here coming up pretty soon. But again, I think we still got the science, we still got the social studies that we're working on too as well. So, any questions, anybody? All right, thank you guys.
On to consider for approval 22-23 school calendar.
All right, I'll pass that around to you.
Oh, I didn't pass it around.
Yes, please, sir. I'm sorry. You're all right. Here's our proposed 2022-2023 calendar. This calendar was approved by our DIC committee. It is very similar to the calendar that we had this year, in which we will start school, teachers coming back the first week of August. We will graduate before Memorial Day, which is on May 19th, or graduation on May 19th. It keeps our winter break and our spring break as similar to this year. The teachers have asked that we continue the day off at each of the end of the 6 weeks for preparation. That has been continued, and then a week around November, or Thanksgiving, and 2 weeks there in December. So this is a very similar calendar to what we've had this year. Both faculty seem to be very appreciative of that time and really have liked what we've done the last several years. Any questions? Any other discussion?
Hearing no questions, do we have a motion to approve the calendar as presented? Motion by David, second?
Second.
Second RJ, all in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. I'm really proud to accept certification of unopposed candidates and approve order to cancel the May 7th of 22 school board trustee election and declare unopposed candidates elected. It was close on a couple.
So we have a motion that we need to accept the certification of unopposed candidates and also to approve the cancellation or approve the order to cancel May 7th, 2022 school board election, since we have no one that ran.
No one opposed.
I'll make a motion that we accept the certification of unopposed candidates and approve order to cancel May 7th, 2022 school board trustee election and declare unopposed candidates elected.
Very good.
Now, a motion, have a second.
Well, wait.
Second, all in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous. I struggled with that, you might sound.
Very good. Well done.
Consider approval of intent to renew the District of Innovation Plan.
As we talked about before, really the board action tonight is just to notify the commissioner that we intend to seek renewal. If the board approves that, then tomorrow morning we will post our plan. It's required to be posted for 30 calendar days, and we will notify Commissioner Morass' office of our intent to renew our district of innovation plan. And then next month, we would come back and ask the board to approve that.
Any discussion? Have a motion to approve the intent to renew.
I'll make a motion to approve the intent to renew the District of Innovation Plan.
Now y'all just showing out. All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
Have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous. There we go. Consider to approve band trip.
We have an overnight band trip as policy here. The principal can approve overnight trips up to 15 students. Anything over 15 students, the school board has to approve. Mr. Fannin has elected, he wanted to come tonight, present his plan to you, so we said absolutely. Before we get going too much, I'd sure like to tell you thank you for what you've done with their band, as well as their junior high, this last solo and ensemble. That was a very great experience for them. We certainly appreciate all that you've done with that.
Well, thank you for letting me come. It's really blessed. It's really blessed.
You hear me, Scott?
Danny Gilman, thank you guys.
And the elementary.
I would like to personally thank you.
Yes, everyone loves band.
Okay, so what I have in front of you is just a preliminary itinerary of what's going to happen. That's the first page. It's the one that I made. Just detailing exactly where we're going to be, what time we're going to be there. The next few pages are from a previous trip that we took when I was at Cushing. We did this when I was at Cushing a few years back. Yes, sir.
Where are y'all going?
SeaWorld.
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 How many
Yes.
nights?
So this is just going to be a one-night ordeal. It's going to be a sleepover in the SeaWorld exhibits, one of the exhibits. We could be in the shark exhibit, penguin exhibit, or the dolphin exhibit. Not in the actual cage itself, but where we, trust me, somebody asked. But where you would normally walk around and see it. So it requires a sleeping bag and a pillow. So I intend to have 5 chaperones, which 3 will be free, not including myself, so 6 adults there. One chaperone would be Miss McMillan has offered her services to be a chaperone, so that could leave us to take a school vehicle in case an emergency arises and a kid needs to be transported somewhere. That way we don't have to take a bus. And it also has another school official there. We'll go from 5:30 to 6:30. We'll eat. They'll supply pizza, and then we'll go look around some things like where they feed the sharks. Other different attractions at night, and then we'll stay the night in the exhibit, supervised, split, boys on one side, girls on the other, chaperones in the middle, along with their workers there, their camper, forgot what they call them at the moment, but it'll pop up to me here in a little bit. Counselors, that's the word. The next morning we'll get up, eat breakfast, and then they'll show us more behind the scenes, like the sick bay where they feed the dolphins, beluga whales, and then we explore the park a little bit, and then we come back. And that's it.
Sounds like a neat trip.
It is. It truly is. Like I said, I did this a couple years ago with Cushing. In fact, these pages that you get from the SeaWorld Busch Gardens that are in there, that's just from what was sent to me back in 2017.
And we're looking at this trip in April.
Yes.
And we need to be able to send a deposit and have it approved so that you can get it booked.
Yes, sir.
And
Absolutely.
then once we have it booked, the dates for that will be approved by Mr. Winnie.
Absolutely. They'll be set in stone once it's approved, if it's approved, and then we'll go from there.
And the booster clubs?
Yes, Booster Club is looking to pay for this. I went ahead and added the funds so y'all can see what we're looking at. I know it's kind of hard to read. For some reason, they put it on that background and it just does not pop out. So I do apologize if you cannot see that. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer right now or something that I did not go over?
What'd you make on the buckets?
The bunk cakes, we made right at $2,000. So we're selling 2,000 cakes. It was $5, but it was $1.05 for us. So about $2,000. And they should be here next week. So if you got a bunk cake from us, first, thank you. And secondly, be expecting it next week. I haven't tried them. We'll see what happens.
They're good.
Good? All right.
We got 31 of them on orders.
That's right. Any other questions that I can answer from here, from y'all?
No, sir, exciting to see what's happening in our band.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see all the progress that's been made just from this year alone. Not from just from the high school band, but all the way down, including all the way to elementary. So, in fact, today, Ms. Fauch, I have a recording for you if you want to see it from Ms. Carroll's first grade. But if you do ever have any questions, please contact me, and I can answer to the best of my ability. Thank y'all for letting me come up here and speak, and it's nice to see all of y'all's faces. I haven't met all of y'all yet. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
A motion to approve the band trip. Do we have a second? Second by Rusty. All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Fannin. Hope y'all have a good time.
You're a brave soul.
He teaches music to elementary kids. He's a very brave soul.
Yes, he's awesome.
Next item, consider to approve interlocal participation agreement between Maude ISD and TASB Risk Management Fund.
So this is for our property casualty insurance, also our workers' comp. They have sent us a new contract. Mr. Van Dieber and I have gone through this, but we do need board action to approve this. This hasn't been updated since 2012? 2012, so it's basically some updated languages, but it is something that we do need to approve, but it does take board action. By having an interlocal agreement, we're able to continue to contract with TASB. We certainly have gotten prices on other insurances, and they've stayed the best, but it allows us to continue to contract with them. So I would recommend that we do approve this.
Any questions or discussion? Do you have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion we approve the interlocal participation agreement with TASB Risk Management Fund.
A motion? A second?
Second.
Second, RJ, all in favor, raise your right hand. Passes unanimously. Superintendent's report.
All right. First, just update on district repairs. The storage building was completed down at the baseball field, so all of that has been wrapped up. We talked about having an abatement in the cafeteria. That will be done over spring break. We were able to take some quotes on that. Total to have that out, it's going to be about $4,500 is what we'll pay. That'll be both restrooms. Both the student restrooms on the stage will be abated, as well as the staff restroom in the kitchen. So that'll be done over spring break. Our HVAC on our middle school rooftops is scheduled over spring break. Our roofing project is supposed to start March 21st and will last 2 to 3 weeks, depending on weather. So hopefully that'll start next, it's supposed to be Monday, but looks like we've got weather moving in Monday and Tuesday. So hopefully it'll start midweek next week and they'll start getting all that stuff up off the ground. But that'll be again for the science lab wing as well as the middle school roof. On the next page, summer school. We talked about this before, but with the new House Bill 4545 and the requirements for tutorials and interventions, we've really got to continue with the summer school we started last year. That's going to run from June 6th through the 30th. We'll be here from 8 to noon. We will serve food during that time. That'll be both elementary, junior high, and high school students that will be participating in summer school. Facility committee, our first meeting will be scheduled for April 4th. That'll be at 6 o'clock. We will begin sending those invites out this week. We were able to finalize getting that set up for our first facility committee meetings. Facility visits, we've talked about this at our workshop before. I'm going to go see a couple of these CTE facilities that we had discussed. Tyler's a new one. Also, we had Paris and Longview, which is building both. I'm going to go see some of those, and then we'd like to come back at the next meeting and schedule some dates for us to be able to go possibly see some of those facilities and things that are being built out there. But just to bring that back, that we'll come back next meeting. On top of that next meeting, we do have the collegiate network that'll be here talking about that high school model. So that'll be coming up in our April meeting. So, 21st, correct, Ms. Holly? April 21st, you think?
Okay.
It is, I believe it is Thursday the 21st. Yes. That is all that I have on superintendent report.
All right. We're going into executive session at 7:10 PM. We'll be discussing personnel according to Texas Government Code Section 5501.074. Discuss and consider contract recommendation following personnel. Athletic director, curriculum director, instructional coordinator, diagnostician, school counselor, business manager, and technology director, and also resignation and retirement from employees under Texas Government Code Section 551.074. We'll take a short break and reconvene in executive session. We're returning to open session at 7:51 PM. First item on the agenda, consider and take action on personnel. First item, athletic director. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we extend the contract by a year with a 2% raise.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Next item, we will combine curriculum director, instructional coordinator, diagnostician, and technology director. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we'll continue with the current personnel.
We do. Yep. All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Next item is on E, school counselor. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to renew the school counselor contract.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes with 5, 4, 1 abstention, myself. Next item is F, business manager. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we extend the contract by a year with a 2% raise.
Have a motion. We have a second.
Thanks.
Second, Rusty. All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. No need on item 19 as we have no resignations. Next item is adjourned.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, it is unanimous. So we're voting for